I've always been intrigued by the way we justify our habits and the things that we do. For instance, I've been trying to go vegan for more than half a year now, but I still haven't truly committed to it. Instead, I do and eat when I initially said I did not want to anymore. I eat mozzarella when lunching with friends, I choose a cassoufflé when my parents are getting fries, and I buy a cupcake each time I'm at the train station. So what is it that makes me keep falling back into these old patterns, and what do the habits that I have today have as consequences later? To answer these questions, there are two parts that I would like to discuss. Let's call it two worlds. So the first is the human world. The human world refers to everything that has to do with how we act and behave towards ourselves, but also towards others. So it's everything that has to do with our own existence. Then the second world is the natural world. This world contains the animals and plants and everything that is not caused or made by people. So first this human world. Why is it that we act a certain way, and why is it that I keep on buying that cupcake when I'm at a train station? Looking at it from a biological perspective, we are triggered to fall into the same habits due to the context that we're in. Physiologist Ivan Pavlov shows this through his theory on classic conditioning. He explains that if you ring a bell each time before a dog receives a treat, after a while he will understand that the bell equals getting a treat. So even though the snack might not be visible yet, the dog will start to get excited. Now, I'm not saying that we are dogs, but we as humans kind of act the same way. Imagine having a certain snack every time you watch your favorite series. By repeating this behavior, you start to form a habit. For me, this was buying a cupcake every time I went to the station. And even though I then might want to start eating healthier, I'm still driven by the context of the train station. So our habits are primarily not dependent on our goals. This means that even though I might want to stop, my brain will still push me towards the direction of my old habits. Besides this influence of context, the demands that our daily lives have cause us to forget or put aside the goals that we have. Boredom, stress, and distraction, they reduce our ability to control our intended behavior, and instead we fall back into a quick habitual response. So how do we stop this, and how do we achieve our intended behavior? It requires not just remembering what you want to achieve. It is also effortful self-control that is needed to prevent the response that is quickly activated by your memory. Instead, it's important to then implement another behavior. This becomes easier when you change your contexts. Then the old activity can no longer activate this unwanted habitual response. For me, this could mean entering the station through another entrance, or actively designing to buy the banana that is next to the cupcake. So this shows a little bit how our behavior works and how to change it. Let's now have a look at the natural world and how we are connected to it. The natural world has provided us with everything we need in order to survive. Food, water, medicine, materials for shelter, and even natural cycles such as climate and nutrition. Nature cleans the air we breathe. It generates the food we eat, and it cleans the water we drink. So it's clear that we need and benefit from nature. Yet we can see more and more that the natural world is deteriorating. We are bombarded with terms such as sustainability and our ecological footprint, and it's very easy or tempting to put this whole sustainability thing aside. But why is it important to us? To show this, I want to give a short explanation of our geological time period on this planet. Our time on the planet has been very short in comparison to that of nature. However, we've caused so many changes to the planet so quickly that scientists have even given this period its own name, the Anthropocene. Like the Pleistocene and the Holocene, the Anthropocene represents a segment of the Earth's timeline. During the shifts of these geological time periods, species die, currents shift, and climates change. We can all recognize these indications nowadays. So it seems that we are just following the natural course of nature into the next geological time period. Yet this time is different because we are the only species that is responsible for this change. And more than that, we're aware of it and not acting upon it. We need to realize that nature doesn't need us, but we need nature. Maybe we should think about who we are and how we see ourselves in comparison to nature. Why are we treating the world like we're doing today? There are different perceptions that people have on our relationship with nature. In the Western world, we mainly have the idea that we are the ruler or owner of nature. It is the feeling that we have a right to use it as a tool or a resource for our own development. In other cultures, nature is also seen as something that is provided for them or something to work with together. But what if we would look at ourselves as participants of a greater system? Instead, we could look at ourselves as equals to nature. What would change? But like I explained, in a human world, knowing what is right doesn't make you change yet. Like I introduced in the beginning, I've been trying to go vegan for quite a while, and it's mostly because of these reasons and the negative effects it can have on nature. I've watched many documentaries and read a lot of articles on the positive impact that a plant-based eating pattern can have on the environment. Yet there's a big difference between knowing it and feeling it. Whenever I would buy that cupcake, I didn't feel the negative consequence or that this cupcake was also contributing to the animal industry. I didn't feel that the habits that I have would make a difference, and I didn't feel that the habits that I would have today would have consequence for later. Now that I've become more aware of it, my perspective has changed, and I feel the need less to buy it than I did before. This is mainly because now it's not other people telling me what I should do or what's right, but it's my own motivation for a healthier planet that motivates me to have this behavior. Now, I'm not saying that I'm never going to eat a cupcake again, but my perspective has changed, and I now look at my habits differently and make way more conscious choices than I would do before. So, how I now look at these two worlds is not as two independent stories. Rather, they're like a tight shoe, or commonly called the yin-yang symbol. The symbol represents two halves which seem to be opposite or contrary, while they may actually be complementary and interconnected. They are two sides of the same coin and chase each other as they seek to find balance. The human and natural world, as I described, are also chasing each other, and there is a connection between our human behavior and the consequences that these have on nature. Now, I'm not asking you to stop eating cupcakes, but think about how we can create a balance between ourselves and nature for the future. Because nature is ready to evolve. Are you?